Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news and it's Friday night and we're going to take some of your calls as well. I've just made a big mistake actually, I'll tell you about it in a minute. But we'll be talking about Bruno Fernandes. We'll be talking about a potential Manchester United walkout at Old Trafford, which is big news, which, it's news to me and it'll be news to a lot of people as well. Also, the Glazers apparently fed up with Ed Woodward, which is interesting. All this PR spin that's going on and a hell of a lot more as well. But can see the number 58 in the live comments. You're absolutely correct. We'll talk about that walkout in a minute. But let me start off and say that with Bruno Fernandes, my man, my boy, he looks like he will be coming to Manchester United. I've been quite consistent this week. I mean, you've got to report what's in the news. Last night it was off. A couple of days it was on again. 2 weeks ago it was where we were all going, it's going to happen. This has been running 2 weeks now. You know, when you think about it, this is 2 weeks tonight that we were going, Simon Stone's talking about it happening. Manchester United, realistically, if you think about a summer transfer window is 4 months, and a January transfer window is 4 weeks. We've wasted half of this transfer window on this deal. I've always felt it was going to happen. I've always said that that they'll suck the life out of it, which they have. And I have been saying for a while that what I really think is happening is they'll drag it out right into close to the transfer window because then they don't have to go and sign anybody else. If they'd signed Bruno Fernandes 2 weeks ago, we would have had 3 weeks left of the transfer market where people would have said, that's a great start, go and get somebody else. If they signed Bruno Fernandes next week, towards the end, sometime next week, fans will go, well, there's no time to get anyone else, but it's great to get Bruno. The club go, yes, we've spent a little bit, but not as much as we needed to. So I think it will happen. I can't see how it won't happen, really. Well, no, let me scrub that. I can see how it won't happen, but the fact that it's been so talked about by credible people who, to be honest with you, are they credible anymore? I mean, that's a topic in his own. What journalist comes out of January with any credibility now? You know, with the spin that they're throwing out to back Woodward and stuff like that. I don't know. Any update on Tevez? Says Humberto Semini. What? Very quickly, unfortunately, Humberto, you're about to take the L here. Why would any Manchester United fan with any credibility want Tevez? This is the man who went to Manchester City, won a title, and on the open-top bus held up a sign saying, "Rest in peace, Fergie." Like, do one. Absolutely do one. He's up there with Suarez for me. I wouldn't want him anywhere near Old Trafford. And he's crap now anyway. But look, let's talk about Bruno Fernandes, the latest on this. A bit of a transfer boost for Manchester United. Apparently, Bruno Fernandes will not play in the next Sporting Lisbon game, which I think is Monday. It might be Tuesday, but I think it's Monday night. He's not going to play in that game because he's going to be moving to Manchester United. That's the latest reports on that. And that the deal will get sorted in the next few days. So we'll wait and see on it. Lot more positivity around, as I said this morning on the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press commentary action, around the Portuguese press. And certainly around the British press, there's no talk of it being not done. It's just, it will happen. And I think it will. I mean, never say never, but I think it will. Now, we are going to take some of your calls, but there's a few things I want to get through topically before that. The Glazers are questioning Ed Woodward, apparently. This is coming out. I think Duncan Castles does a podcast, but also a couple of areas as well. Chances of a walkout, will you get involved, Marks, is irrelevant. I'd love to get involved in the walkout, but it has to be well organised, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm all for, we have got a big platform. Some people don't like that, but we have got a big platform, and that platform is not me, it's you. I listen to what you say as well as having my opinion, so we'll talk about that walkout in a minute. But what I want to say first is that this is coming out that the Glazers, who have given autonomy to Woodward for a long time, are now asking questions about why so much money has been spent. And Manchester United are going backwards. They're nowhere near the Premier League, winning the Premier League. They're not in the Champions League. They're not looking like they're going to qualify for the Champions League. And although Ed Woodward is very much liked by the Glazers and was a big part of them buying the club, they're now asking questions of Woodward as to why Manchester United are where they are. Because Ed Woodward, despite all this PR spin that he gets unfair blame for everything, which we'll talk about as well, Ed Woodward, if you speak to most people in and around the club, journalists, everything like that, whether it's correct or not, and I've got no reason to believe it's not, Ed Woodward runs that club. Everything, it's Ed Woodward's club. Manchester United is Ed Woodward's club. So he is now being questioned quite rightly as to what's going on with Manchester United. I would love the Glazers to sack him. I mean, I'm no fan of the Glazers, but if the Glazers are saying, look, You're losing us money, you're spending money badly, you're recruiting bad managers, we're failing and we're getting worse, and they sack him. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love to see it happen, but we'll have to wait and see about that. I just want to address the number 58 in the live comments, because it was going to be my next topic anyway. Please do smash a like on the video, because there is... I only saw this about 45 minutes before going live. It was in the Daily Mirror, so straight away I'm like... I read the article myself, but I saw one of the Twitter accounts, aggregators, put it out there. Basically, Manchester United fans are planning a 58-minute walkout against Wolves next Saturday evening. 58, a lot of people are saying, why 58th minute? Because most clubs, when they do something on a minute, there's a reason for it. Clap on this minute, whatever like that. Of course, 58, it is February the 1st. February the 6th is a big day for us. It's a big day in our history. Not a very good day. It's a remembrance day for those... Manchester United players, the Busby Babes, who died or were injured in the tragedy over in Munich, and that was the team that happened in 58. So 58th minute has, I presume that's what it's to do with. It's logical that that's what it's to do with. I've read the article, and all it says is that Manchester United fans are planning a 58th minute walkout against Wolves next week in protest against the owners of Manchester United. Now, to me, and we've tweeted off the United Stand account, who is behind this? Because if you're going to do something like this, don't do like remember in the summer, Glazers Out was trending and there was going to be a march down at Old Trafford and about 10 people turned up. This is what I mean. I had people messaging, oh, United Stand going to back this, and I said, who's behind it? Who's involved in it? Are the Red Army involved in it? Are Must involved in it? Other fanzines involved in it? Who's involved with it? What fan groups are behind it? Because the Daily Mirror, to be honest with you, they don't name anybody who's behind it. And it could just be some Twitter account. And this is what I mean. I do not know what's going on with this. So I have got no confidence in it. 58 minutes into a game is very early in a game for loads of fans to walk out of Old Trafford. 58 minutes into a game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, which is a decent game, is very early for people to walk out of a game. I have my doubts about this. So look, I don't know what you people think about it, but I just don't believe it will happen. I think it takes a massive amount of organisation, and I think if it's going to happen, then all fan groups. I'm not saying somebody needs to lead it, because that causes problems in itself. For example, if I said, the United Stand's going to push this, everybody who goes to the game, who watches the United Stand, walk out on 58 minutes. We get ridiculed for it, you get a lot of people angry about it. So I'm not going to say stupid things like that. What I am saying is, who's organising it, who's behind it, who's supporting it, and then, if it's properly organised, and credible groups and everything are willing to do it, then, this platform will say, if you're at the game on that game, definitely do it if you want to do it. But it's got to be organised correctly, because it would be massively impactful for Manchester United Football Club, and it would send a massive, massive message. But my fear is it's a bit like the planes going over with the banners. It will be a small minority, and it won't make any difference at all. So I think also, what I would say as well, got to be honest with you, if you are at the game on Saturday and you're walking out after 58 minutes, it's expensive to go to a match. A lot of people will be travelling from London, from Ireland, from abroad, and you're asking them to walk out on the 58th minute. It's a big, big, big personal statement to do that. I can't see it happening. I don't think the United fan base has that unity to do it. I wish we did. I wish we had that organisation and coming together. But I've seen in recent weeks and over the last 5 years doing this, there's a lot of bitterness out there. There's a lot of infighting in there, and I don't see us doing it. And I think that allows the Woodwards and the Glazers to do what they do. But the singing in the ground the other day, I don't really look the context of what they're singing. Okay, it's close to the bone, but they're not really, as I said, they're not chucking anyone on a bonfire, and they're not chopping anybody up. What they actually do is they're singing that song to make it impactful, so that people notice it. And in relation to Ed Woodward and this PR spin that we're hearing, that and I've seen it today. I've got to be honest, I've seen it today. That Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ed Woodward has appointed Neil Ashton, who used to work on The Sun and the Sunday Supplement, as a PR expert to spin things to make Ed Woodward look better to the fans and Manchester United to look better to the fans. You should never be employing a PR person and telling everybody you're employing a PR person for a start. That should have been kept secret if that's your plan, because we all know that it's all crap that's being put out there. But the sad thing is, this morning and yesterday, we saw a lot of pro-Woodward comments coming out from journalists. Like Neil Custis has done it this morning. Simon Stone did it yesterday. These are people who I've always said they've got the ear of Manchester United. They have. And they're coming out back in Woodward within a few days of us hearing that Woodward's employing somebody who's a PR spin. And that is really disappointing, because journalism should not be that. Journalism should be independent. Journalists should be, here's the story, make your own mind up. Journalists should not be taking things out, oh, can you please put this story out to make him look good? That's really poor. But what I would say to Ed Woodward is this. You've not always been held in contempt by Manchester United fans. I've been doing this long enough, and I'm sure you lot have been doing it long enough, to remember the summers when we signed Paul Pogba. And you couldn't move on Twitter for gifs of Ed Woodward walking in like a boss. So Ed Woodward doesn't even need to employ a PR person. Look at the times where you were revelled by Manchester United fans on social media, where they were like, yeah, Ed Woodward, he's the boss. And what were you doing? You were spending money trying to make the club better. You don't need a PR person. You just need to go back to doing your job properly, which is making us better on the pitch, which is making decent footballing decisions. That's what I'm feeling about that. Thoughts on Ollie saying it's up to the club about getting signings? Is he trying to tell us the club won't provide his desired targets? Says Josh Bowerter. We'll come back to that. Jordan Such says, I said a few weeks ago, with injuries and Eriksen being sold, which is just a matter of time, whatever Spurs get for Eriksen will go towards Bruno. We better get a move on, and quickly, if we're going to get him by Monday. Jordan Such, I'll come back to that one as well. Ashu says, why you have to walk out when you have a choice of not turning up? That's more logical, says Ashu. And it's actually more impactful if you go to a game and then walk out after 58 minutes, I must agree. Walking out after paying for the tickets doesn't make sense. The owners are still getting the money in their pockets. Boycott the games and hurt their pockets, says Sanjit Mahayan. I mean, on that one, just very quickly, that makes no difference. Manchester United is pretty much sold out every game. There's very few tickets available on the day because we've got so many season tickets which are bought in advance. So the money from tickets, that's not going to hurt Manchester United. Thoughts on Ollie saying it's up to the club in relation to signings? That's from this morning's press conference, Josh Bowerter. And I liked that from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because what he basically says, we're hoping to do one or two things. It's up to the club if they can get it over the line. Finally, Ollie pushing it onto the club about transfers. Big thumbs up for that. And I think that's why I'm confident that we will get some business done, because I don't think there won't be... Actually, that's a good point as well. There won't be a walkout next week if we sign Bruno Fernandes anyway. It will all be forgotten. It's like Glazers out and Woodward out in the summer was trending. We signed a couple of players and it disappeared. So, I don't really have a lot of faith in these things getting off the ground, because I think a lot of it's just will be based on no signings. And I think as soon as we sign somebody next week, it'll all disappear a bit. And in relation to Jordan Search, what he's saying about Spurs and Bruno Fernandes, my understanding is, look, if Spurs sell Eriksen, Jose Mourinho would love to sign Bruno Fernandes. And I think Spurs... There's only two reasons Spurs aren't signing Bruno Fernandes, because absolutely George Mendes is Jose Mourinho's agent, and on top of that, George Mendes is involved in the Bruno Fernandes deal. So United are dragging their feet about the fee. So if they could facilitate it, Mourinho would love to do an up yours to United and take Bruno Fernandes from us, and so would George Mendes. So they would do that, but they can't do it. And my theory is this: Spurs either haven't got the money, or they have got the money, but they can't spend it until the summer, until after June, when the financial fair play year resets itself. Because remember, Spurs spent a lot of money last summer. So I think it's something to do with that. And I think Spurs are one of the clubs that will buy him in the summer if he doesn't go in January. So United have really got a free run at it now in January. If we don't get him in January, I don't think we'll get him. So that's what I think about that. Thierry Mainrick says, would Ollie get sacked if he loses to Tranmere? No, I mean, why has he not been sacked already? So why would losing to Tranmere? He's going to lose to Man City next week, and he could. I suppose if he lost 5 in a row, he could get the sack. But I don't know. I don't think United. The thing is, I don't think United have got a contingency plan to sack Solskjaer. I think they've got somebody in the summer if they need, whether it's Pochettino, Nagelsmann, Tuchel, whoever. But I don't think they've got a plan if they sack Solskjaer now. And I think what you'd end up with is Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick. And I don't want that anyway. I don't want another interim manager. It makes me feel sick. I don't want another interim manager at Manchester United for a long, long time. Whether it's parachuting Ryan Giggs in or whatever, I don't want it because I'd be scared to death that the new manager comes in and he says, just enjoy yourself. They go on a 3-month winning run and we give that interim manager the job. So I don't think we'd be stupid enough to do that. But I am scared of having an interim manager. I just really, part of me just wants to fast forward to May. Or even August, because we're going to have a whole summer of Liverpool fans talking about they're the best team there's ever been. And just start next season with a new manager. That's what I'd like to do. With all due respect, biggest Man United platform, why not start a movement to get our club back, says Willie J. Solis. With all due respect, I've said it about a million times, why not? I'm not going to waste time when it's a call-in night going through it again. What I would say in a very quick sentence is, this platform cannot unite fans to do anything. There are too many different sections and sanctions in the Manchester United fan base. There are too many groups who don't like each other. You cannot unite the United fan base until you unite all the different groups, whether it's Must, whether it's the Red Army, whether it's different fanzines, whatever. They are all in different groups, and that's so no, this platform can't do that. It can certainly back things, but it can't do that. What else do I want to talk about before we take some calls? We've done the walkout, we've done the PR argument. Cavani, United apparently asking to be informed if Cavani is available, which apparently is. Bruno, many comes from that. Also, just about Phil Neville. Phil Neville's been taking a bit of stick. He apparently said the other night on BBC that people just need to accept this is where Manchester United are at the moment, and it's going to take time, etc., etc., the same old stuff. Got a lot of people coming back at him saying, who is he to tell fans that they need to accept where Manchester United are? United fans are under no obligation to listen to ex-pros or ex-legends of the club. They can make their own mind up. It's not good enough what's happening at the club, and it's a fan choice. And it got me thinking there. I think there is still a lot of respect for people like Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand and that. But I think over these last few years, and not just the Ollie reign, but Van Gaal, Mourinho as well, there were a lot of fans who backed Mourinho and there were a lot of fans who backed Van Gaal, and they didn't like Neville and Keane going on Mourinho. They didn't like Scholes going in on Van Gaal. And I think what we've seen is that we've seen a dilution of our legend's opinion, and we see it really more now. I think there was a time when Gary Neville would say something, or Roy Keane would say something, or Rio Ferdinand would say something, and everyone would go, well, they're a legend. They're a legend. Oh, yeah, they've got to be right. But I think you see a lot more criticism of what they say now. And I think it's hard for them to manage because they are, for whatever reason, not saying the truth. What I believe to be the truth is that the club has been run badly and has made bad mistakes. And it could just be friendships and loyalty to Solskjaer, which is absolutely fine. But in doing that, because they're in the public eye, I think they've lost a little bit of respect in relation to their opinion. Not as legends. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be sacked tomorrow and no one's going to not call him a legend because he failed as a manager. But as pundits and managers and whatever, I think that they're... to be honest, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because as somebody who's a champion of fan opinion, I think that fan opinion is as good, if not better, than any of these pundits anyway. So yeah, you've got to be very careful. What I'm saying is, whether you're a United legend or not, you cannot just come out and say something and expect everyone to bow down to your opinion now. And those fans are right. Fans aren't under any obligation to listen to any opinion if they think that it's wrong. Matthias Cunha from Leipzig would be a great false nine. Links play, dribbles, key passes and can finish like Bobby. Check him out on the Smarter Scout, says Dylan Sups. Thanks for that. And Zayn Miassi, Mark, I think Glazers don't want to buy players as they know Ollie won't be there for long. As soon as Poch comes in, I think you will be given money, says Zayn Miassi. I think that's an interesting theory, and maybe that's why we're looking for lone strikers, because and also Bruno Fernandes is a player that Pochettino wants. So I think if United could get a Maddison or a Grealish this January, they'd do it because they know that they'd be players that Poch would want in the summer, or any manager would want. I think they're loath to buy players that are very Ollie for signings. Why and how the hell is Jones still anywhere near the first team squad, says Chris Burzik. Well, he actually was one of our better players the other night against Burnley. I mean, it wasn't hard, everyone else was crap. But we've had a choice before appointing Ollie of getting Poch. 40 million in the pocket of Spurs and we could have got him. You think I enjoy Ollie being there? Even I wanted Poch, but we were left with no options, says Ashu. Okay, let's start taking some of your calls. Remember to smash a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. United transfer rumours are like waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay. Sounds like it should be fun, but in reality, it's just torture, says Murray. Right, first call. Let's do this. I'm interested tonight. I'm looking forward to this tonight. and I want to see what's going to go on tonight. So I'm going to open up with Paul, hopefully. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, mate. Hello, you all right?
I'm very well. It's nice to have a bonus call-in show. And
yes.
What we're looking for tonight is people just to have their say, because there's just so much. I don't think I need to guide people. So what do you want to go on tonight?
Literally in the waiting room queue just a minute ago, saying, if you're going to talk about, you try to start talking about something, and then you end up on a completely separate point and not making the point you try to put out in there in the first place, because there's so much to talk about. I was just talking to Dan in the waiting room queue in terms of trusting Ollie. Do we trust Ollie anymore? Because I'm not sure if I do. Just to put it across, all the things he's saying at the moment are very concerning in terms of backing the Glazers, backing the club. Now, I understand he has to go along with the propaganda in some respects, because it's expected of him. He can't go like Mourinho, because we turned against Mourinho for doing that. So there's a fine line to tread in terms of his press conferences and what he says, but he's undermining himself. As I said to Dan, the end of last season, we capitulated and threw away top four. We're doing exactly the same now with our intermittent results. So that doesn't say to me there's progress, even though he spent £150 million on his defence. Now, you could also say, but he's lost a bunch of players and hasn't replaced them. Now, if that wasn't his decision, he's still saying in press conferences that he's been backed and everybody's been great and the Glazers have been great and Ed's been great. So was it his decision not to replace him then? And if it was, that's counterproductive to what we need. So I'm completely confused as to what message Ollie's putting out there, which leads me to believe that, is he lying? Can we trust him? Or is he just going along with the rhetoric and propaganda that Glazers are putting out there? I'm lost, mate.
It is interesting. I mean, Ashu says till the end of the season we've got no option than to stick by him, which is, I was going to ask you that in a moment. But just to come back on Ollie, I thought that if anyone needs to appoint a PR expert, it's Ollie, because you're right, I do all the press conferences and we react to them on this channel. So I take the notes, I make sure it's accurate, and then we discuss it. That's what we do. And Iron Bill says Glazers won't sell as long as they're able to milk the company, which is very accurate. But yeah, I mean, I liked what Solskjaer said today about transfers. We're hoping to do one or two. It's about whether the club can get it over the line. I thought for the first time you're actually not taking everything on your own shoulders, which is, we all know, is fake, and you're actually putting it where it needs to be, because the manager doesn't do the deals. So I liked that. I thought it was 6 months too late, but he does contradict himself. And I think for me, I've even tweeted it today. One of my big issues is he doesn't really take ownership of the fact that he's nearly been the full-time manager for a year. It's 10 months now. I still think some fans feel like it's 10 weeks, and I understand why that, but that's because he's so good at getting that message out that I'm new in post, it's a brand new start, it's going to take time. And he's talking today about we haven't got a roof on yet and building the foundations. And my issue with that is, and you say it many times, well, you know, you keep likening yourself to Klopp. You're not Klopp. You haven't got a CV at all. Klopp had a CV. You're not Sir Alex in 1989. He had a CV as well. You're not building from foundations. Mourinho got the sack because he lost the dressing room. He just finished second in the league a few months before. You know, you're not taking over a club that's been relegated. But that's one thing he's been very good at it. Is just almost like rewriting history, that when he took over us, we were on our knees. Well, we weren't. We weren't on our knees. The players just stopped playing for the manager. You know, I need more time. We've been here a year. You know, look at what happened with Liverpool. Look at what happened with Liverpool and where they are now. Yeah, but they had a philosophy. They had a club structure. That's what he's very good at. But when you scratch the surface, I agree. It's like, But I did like his comment today about pushing it onto the club about transfers, because that's been long overdue.
Yeah, but it just feels like smoke and mirrors, Mark. It feels like he's dodging. He's answering like a politician. He's not giving us direct answers. He can't. I understand, but he, on some things, rather than put himself in deep doo-doo, so to speak, he could just not answer the question and lay it off. You've said what he should say many times before, and I've always agreed with you rather than what Ollie says. Now, also with Ollie, what he's getting right is what he's getting wrong. What he's getting wrong, I believe, is on the pitch. What he's getting right is off the pitch. Now, what he's getting right off the pitch is what the role of a director of football should be, to allow the coach to do what is on the pitch correctly. The recruitment, he's getting that right. The philosophy, he's getting that right. the right kind of player, the right temperament of player, the correct player for Manchester United, putting in a culture. That's the role of a DOF. That's the role of an appointment that we should be putting in there. Instead of getting some PR guy to make Ed look better, we should be employing a DOF to take away all of that from Ollie, all of that, 50% of his job by the sounds of it, and then plonking him on the coaching pitch and saying, make us better. But we're not. It's baffling to me, baffling.
A very interesting thing here, Paul, before you go, actually. Somebody just said that Simon Stone's retweeted something. Now, Simon Stone is a very credible journalist, tier 1, gets a lot of information from Manchester United. Upset a lot of people yesterday because he came out sort of defending Woodward, which may be to do with this PR spin that's going on. He's also just retweeted something, which is quite interesting. So there's a Twitter account that said, talk about disrespectful, 58th minute on the game commemorating the Munich disaster, which clueless clowns even thinking this shit up of walking out the game. And Simon Stone has retweeted that. And I suppose that's another side of it, isn't it? You know, a lot of people saying it's a great idea, walk out, send a message, 58th minute, it's very important to us, that is, it's symbolic to walk out on the 58th minute because it commemorates those who lost their lives for this club, and the club at the moment is dying. And you've got other people saying it's disrespectful to do it on the 58th minute because it's the Munich disaster and you're going to walk out. And this is the world we live in, isn't it? You know, every positive's got a negative.
Well, it is. Yeah, but it needs to be moved then. I mean, you know, there's a lot of emotion with this movement against the Glazers. There's a lot of that people want to get it done, and maybe that was overlooked.
No, I don't think it was overlooked. I think it was picked specifically because of that. But I think
really, yeah, I can't agree with that, to be honest.
Well, I'm glad you've said that, because from my point of view, I sort of see it as a symbolic thing to do because I know what 58 is. It's the biggest thing in our history, and it means a lot to fans. So walking out on that...
Oh, right, I apologise. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah,
but no,
my apologies for not being aware of this.
Because I think, well, it's symbolic to say the Glazers and Woodward are destroying our club. These are people who died for our club. We're going to do it on the 58th minute. But I think as soon as people some people find it disrespectful, then maybe you do need to rethink it, because it's too much of it's too much of a touchy subject.
It's a stick to beat it with. Immediately, people will be saying, well, you know, the walkout against the Glazers, all well and good, but... And then you cannot win that argument. You just can't, because it is disrespectful. Yeah. The 58 it is fully disrespectful, and you should do it on another day because it will be just as impactful. It doesn't have to be on a poignant day like that. That means so much to the club.
Maybe just do it at a different minute. You know, we've got lots of history. You know, the club got relegated in the 70s. You know, it could be symbolic of that. Was it? Well, I can't remember what year we got relegated, because I wasn't even born. Was it like 72, 73, something like that? Do it on the 73rd minute. The club's going down.
I agree with the walkout completely. Doing it on that day is very contentious, and it will cause arguments. I don't know whether that's good or bad. It's not for me to say. But it has to be on TV, and it has to happen, because it will be so impactful. That's that it'll be a red flag, and it will not be able to be ignored. Everybody will pick up on it. And the Glazers will know about it as well, for sure. But it's going to be difficult to organise, but I hope it happens.
Cheers, Paul. Great points, and I'll speak to you soon, pal.
Cheers, buddy.
So that is interesting, man. That's live as well. That's happened. Simon Stone retweeting it. Look, when I first saw it, 58th minute, I thought that's symbolic. 58 means a lot to Manchester United fans, and in a way, you are saying that, look, these lads died for our club, and these owners are killing our club. And it's symbolic. And I think a lot of people thought, yeah, that's a good idea. But I think as soon as some fans see it as disrespectful, you've got to rethink it. I'm not saying it's wrong to do it then. I'm not saying it's right to do it then. But I think if you're trying to send a statement, don't do it through something that's contentious and you move it. And a lot of people are saying there's different minutes you could do it in. We can't do it in 99 because there might not be 9 minutes of added time, and a lot of people leave early for the train anyway. So maybe something in the 70s, something from the 70s. And we did get relegated in the 70s. So if you do it on the year that we got relegated, the club went down on that year, and we're going down at the moment. Maybe something like that. 74 was the relegation, says Matthew Linguist. So there you go. We've got a super chat from Jordan Such. He says, Mark, it is clear to see some of these players are not good to play for this club. But do you think the players that are good enough, like Martial and Rashford, are losing faith in Ollie now he is past the point of saying go out and enjoy yourself? I think definitely there is dressing room unrest. I would be disappointed if there isn't dressing room unrest. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be disappointed if there's not dressing room unrest, because we're playing badly. People need to be asking questions of themselves, of their colleagues, and of the coaching. I'd be disappointed if everyone's in the dressing room having a group hug and doing high fives. Imagine Roy Keane was there now, or Gary Neville was there now, or David Beckham, or Cantona, or Bruce, or Hughes. Imagine if they were in that dressing room, in that team now. They would not be happy. They would be angry with each other. They would be forcing people to go. I've played football. I've played sports. We've all done it. And the best dressing rooms I've been in when you're not doing well are the angry dressing rooms where everyone's having a go at each other and saying, look, we've got to do better than this. Patting on the back will be better next week. That's never worked for me. Ollie with a weak CV won't turn on his employer. They won't sack him because Glazers hide behind him. A dream job, once in a lifetime chance. Being an ex-player, he can't do that. Jose did because he's different, says Ashu. Forace says, it's a sign of respect. They're giving a nod to the Munich victims by showing that they're not happy with the owners and making money out of our history. Look, it's a divisive thing, and I think for that reason, maybe it needs a bit. I don't think it's going to happen anyway. I mean, it's only a story in the bloody Daily Mirror. Who's behind that idea? I don't know. Nobody's spoken to us about it. Not that they have to, but it's not, must have not put anything out either. Who was behind that? Is it the Daily Mirror just making it up? I don't know. It could be just totally made up. So we'll just have to wait and see. Man United fans, including myself, are high on Poch, and for good reason. But what about considering Nuno? What has he done with Wolves has been amazing. Almost beat Liverpool, says Chicano out 1987. I personally wouldn't be a fan of Nuno because I just don't like his style of football. I think it's a little bit too counter-attacking and defensive for me. But he has done a great job with the club that he's got. So I'm not going to deny that. He has done very well. Right, let's take another call because we're doing call-ins. I'm going to the live comments there, but let's see what people have got to say. I really want to get some opinions tonight from people. Let's try this person because I've not had them before. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hello, Mark. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Ollie and his formation. So, if you remember in the preseason, he said he wanted to deploy Pogba deeper, like how he played for France with the two holding midfielder with him and Conte. Yeah. But the thing with this is we don't have a Conte to put next to Pogba, and then we don't have a Navier Fekir to put in the front, and we don't have a Griezmann or a Mbappe. So why is he so naive and not willing to change his formation to suit the team that he have? He's trying to imitate a team that won the World Cup with great players to suit a team that he have with mediocre players.
You win and lose a game in the midfield. We talk about it so often, and I think we all said at the start of the season, with not replacing Herrera, with not even replacing Fellaini, that midfield was always going to be a problem. And I'm not going to take ownership of this. I'm sure you felt the same. Coming into the season, I just was full of dread because I knew that midfield... Well, I think we did a video actually, and we said Paul Pogba's got Manchester United's season in his hands. If he doesn't have a good season, we're in trouble. Well, he's not even played, so it's not a surprise to me.
Yeah, you did. You kept saying it. You did say it, and he didn't want to be here. He said it. He came out over the summer and said he don't want to be here. We can't blame the guy. It's true. The board haven't put the players around him, so I wouldn't want to be here either. You love the team, but you got to look out for yourself. It's what's good for you. And there was player available in the summer. There was Thomas Partey with a release clause. There was other midfielders available. Bruno Fernandes, who's still available now, but we're still lingering over $5 million. We played like 9-10 games in January. If we were discussing this deal leading up to January 1st, and got it done on January 1st. Only game he would have missed was the Arsenal game, which was January 1st, and he would have played all the other games in January and would have probably had a better season starting in January. Our season would have been totally different, and maybe not so many people would have been Ali.
I agree, because I said myself, when I first heard about Bruno Fernandes 2 weeks ago, I said, you know what, I want this player so much, even what Ollie's done this season, I will hit the reset button and I'll give him 2 years. 2 weeks later, I'm not so sure I agree with that. I'll be happy if we sign Bruno Fernandes, but I think so much damage has been done that I almost feel like, no, I won't be giving Ollie 2 years. I think get Bruno in and make the change. But do you think Do you think that Bruno Fernandes will be signed? Just quickly before you go.
Yes, I think it will be signed, but I think it will be on January 28th, January 29th, and then be like, oh, we don't have any time to sign anyone. So here you go, Bruno. Hey, be happy, everyone. But everyone won't be happy. We'll be angry because we had a whole month to sign other players, but we linger over $5 million because it's going to come out, oh, United finally pay up the $5 million on January 29th.
Thanks for calling in, mate. Really good points.
Thank you.
Cheers, pal. I do agree with that. I think we will get Bruno, and I think it will be towards the end of next week, so we can't sign anybody else. Sam Holt says maybe an idea is to show our respect at the 58th minute, then after that walk out, so the stands goes from 75,000 people clapping to 75,000 people walking out. You know what, Sam? I mean, reading that back, imagine how impactful that would be. 58th minute, the whole stand clap the Busby Babes and the victims of the Munich disaster, and then they all walk out. That would be very impactful. But I can tell you now, I can't see how. I'd love to know where this story is coming from, because it's a high. Whoever's behind that story in the Mirror should say who the fans are behind it, because already it's causing contentious issues. People saying it's disrespectful. Some people saying it's a good idea. Lots of discussion about it. Who's behind it? Who is behind it, and who's organising it? Because, as I say, if it's just a couple of United fans who are going to get a bloody banner going up again, if we even got half the ground emptied next Saturday against Wolves, I'd be amazed. I just don't think people understand how difficult it will be to do that, and how well organised it needs to be done, and how many fans will be going, I don't agree with doing that. And then if you do something and it's pitiful, you may as well have not done it, because it gets ridiculed. So I have my reservations about how that can be done. If it is organised, then of course I think everyone would back it. There's a reason why he's playing 4-2-3-1, because he hasn't got the players. What more can he do? He wasn't backed. That is on the board, Mark. He needs time, says George Ramos. Well, no, there's lots of formations he could play, George. Come on. Andre Shalar is the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. There's lots of formations he could play. He doesn't need to play 4-2-3-1. He played 4-3-3 for 3 months at the start of his reign. Yes, he had Ander Herrera, but what's the difference between Ander Herrera and Fred? You know, Herrera's probably a better player, but you know, Herrera wasn't a goal-scoring midfielder. Neither's Fred. Fred could do that box-to-box role. Pogba could have been more advanced. Matic or McTominay could sit. He doesn't need to play 4-2-3-1. He doesn't need to do that. It's ultra-defensive, and he didn't need to do it. What if the Saudis buy Manchester United as Benny Calder? And again, that's going to be contentious. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think United's for sale anyway. But even if it did, you know, how do you make it happen? Hello, you're on the United Stand. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Let me. I don't know why that's not working, because they're definitely talking, but I just can't get them to. Let me come out there.
Good point. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, True Devil Red 7's not working, so I'll try and get Dan in. Hi, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can, Mark. What's going on, big fella?
I'm alright, mate. Nice to have you back on so quickly. I did try to get someone else there, but I just couldn't hear them. Let me just read this super chat then. We've got a super chat from Nick P. He says, Ollie should be made to sit and watch Klopp's first few games in charge and see how much effort his players put in for him trying to play to his system. Well, I'm going to ask you about that, Dan, because you've probably got something you want to talk about. What do you think? And he's done it a few times. Not he did it today, he did it before the Liverpool game, and he's done it at least 2 other times. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is very, very quick to compare his situation to Klopp. And I think it's basically because Klopp's been at Liverpool for 3 or 4 years, and now they're going to win the league. But I don't think many people have been suffering with memory loss. Like, 4 years ain't that long ago. Liverpool are our biggest rivals. Just like Liverpool fans monitor us. You know, Liverpool fans know a lot about Manchester United. And we know a lot about Liverpool, because although we don't like each other, we watch it because we want them to do well, badly. So I know what happened with Liverpool and Klopp. It amazes me that Ollie tries to compare his situation to it. But do you in any way agree with him on that?
Hell no, I don't agree with him on that. Mainly because what he's doing right now, to quote an old rap lyric, it's like comparing himself a Benz to a Chevrolet, right? Klopp's the Benz, Ollie's the Chevrolet. He has no pedigree. There's no pedigree.
A Chevrolet's crap cars, then.
Yeah, well, listen. In the past, they used to run the show in America, but now they've kind of fallen off, which is probably why the Glazers have them as a main sponsor.
Yeah,
Benz is one of the prime.
Benz
is one of the Benz is one of the prime names in automotives, and that's what Klopp is. You got a pedigree. You got a long-standing history of performing well. He took Mainz from nowhere to the Bundesliga, had them punching as high as fifth. He's got Dortmund to win the Bundesliga. Now he has, yes, there's been a plan in place, and at first we were ridiculing Klopp and saying that it was going to take too long or it was just going to, never happen at all. But he's got them to where the fans thought that he was going to get them in the beginning. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to take them there. I don't think a lot of fans thought he was going to take them there, especially the first 2 years. But since then, he's made us eat a little bit of humble pie.
He has, and, he did have a few bad results at the start, but they did end up in the Europa League final in his first, and it wasn't even his first full season. They finished 8th in the league, but they got to Europa League final, I think, in his first season. And then the next season they finished 4th. I mean, there is just no comparison. I don't even know why he does it. I mean, some people say it's because he was a Liverpool fan, which I've heard that Solskjaer used to support Liverpool as a kid, but Jamie Carragher used to support Everton as a kid. I mean, that's irrelevant, but just a bit of light-hearted banter, really. But Ollie's obviously is a United fan, But the Klopp thing is just it is crazy. I mean, there's so much to talk about Manchester United at the moment. Glazers obviously are American, and I mean, one thing we never really get, and I don't know whether you can give us something about this. The Glazers in America, what's the opinion of them, and what have they done with Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
In America, everybody hates them. In England, everybody hates them. The only people that like them in charge of anything is their own family members, mainly because they do not put in to what they take out. That's all well and good. You want to own a team. They think of it as some sort of just way to just subsidize income. See, we used to get on Abramovich's back for having Chelsea as a toy, and the Sheiks running Man City having City as a toy. But they're putting money into it. It's like you want to get yourself, cool upgrades around your house to make your house look cool, and you get yourself a jacuzzi and a sauna and all these things. And then not only is it adding to the resale value, but you're reaping the benefits of it. It's like the Glazers are adding, a 70,000-foot in-ground pool in the backyard, and nobody knows how to swim. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. They're doing these things just to make money. There is no way of investing. They don't know that you need to put the money forward in order to make the money. They just think that they're going to keep decreasing the value of the club in order to have better turnover. That's what it is at the end of the day, and it's making me sick, mate. And in circles of owners, I've been around a few sports owners. A lot of sports owners don't get along with them because they're a team that you can never trade with. They're a team that you can never have free agent discussions with. They're just bad all the way around.
And we're seeing we're not seeing the benefits of that. We're seeing the downside of that. I mean, you don't need to be a magician to see that Manchester United are not perceived well in the world of football. We don't do deals very well. We're very arrogant. We're living off a status that is, no longer valid. I tell you what we like, and I've said this about Man City and Chelsea over the years. Man City and Chelsea are like playing FIFA on cheat code. You've got an infinite amount of money. Manchester United are like playing FIFA the other way. Instead of, do you want the £100 million transfer budget bonus? This is like, nah, you're having no money. So it's the other way around, isn't it? But Anup Alipan says something needs to be done. We as fans are stuck in different countries and are doing part by boycotting, unfollowing Twitter, and uninstalling United app. Fans going to stadium need to walk out, chant Glazers out, please. Look, all I would say about that is there's a lot of frustration and there's a lot of anger at the moment, but I do mistrust it in many ways because I actually think we will sign Bruno this week. Do you think there's any prospect of us, just topical point, Dan, do you think there's any prospect of us? Ollie mentioned hopefully 2 deals. I think we all know one of them is Bruno Fernandes, and hopefully it will get done. The second one is probably a striker. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Apparently the Slimani and Agala rumours are fake, but it may be setting us up for a sort of middle of the road player that we never wanted anyway, but we go, well, they're better than Slimani. Do you think we will get a forward in, and do you think it will be a loan?
Until I see Bruno Fernandes holding up the shirt, I don't even think we're going to get him in. In terms of a forward, Jovic is available on loan. They could go and get Jovic. they're not going to try to get Jovic. I mean, he would fit too because he could hold the ball up pretty well. He done it great for Eintracht last year.
Makes sense as well because we're going to give Pogba to Real Madrid in the summer anyway, aren't we? So we could just say we're not 5 million off. Give us Jovic for 4 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I just don't see it happening. And if they do go for a forward, it's going to be some bargain bin cheap option. They can't get Mandzukic anymore because he's went to Saudi Arabia, wherever the hell he's playing, Qatar, one of them leagues. So it's just, honestly, Mark, at the end of the day, man, I'm just sad. I can't even get angry anymore, man. I'm just depressed. This club is just making me not even want to watch on television. I'll still be there watching. I'll still be there going to games. But I'll tell you one thing: if that walkout's for real, I'm getting over there and I'm going to do it just to walk out. I'll be honest with you.
The amount of people who've been saying that on social media today, and I know they've got tickets because they've been on fan cams and they're like, I'm going up from London to do it. Look, Dan, thanks for coming on again, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, you bet, Mark. Stay well, okay?
Cheers, pal. Thank you. I just while it's in my head there, obviously Dan was talking about Jovic. I think he'd be brilliant as a loan deal till the summer. I think what's evident with United is they're not going to buy a striker. We did a video on it earlier on. Do give it a watch because it's really interesting what we did with the Smarter Scout website and looking at certain players that we need to bring in. I think it worked really well, especially around St. Maximin and Sarr. Really good video. Give it a watch, but I don't want to give too much away. But Jimenez would be perfect. And I think if you gave Wolves 60 million, they'd give it us. And he is perfect for what United need. But we clearly haven't got any money. I don't care what anybody says. We clearly haven't got any money. We've clearly got about 40 million, which is why we're trying to do this deal with Bruno Fernandes on the cheap. But if we had money, I think Jimenez and Bruno Fernandes would have been a fantastic January transfer window, and that would have been progress. So I think we're in this situation where we're trying to do loans. If we could get Jovic on loan, it would be a fantastic deal. And you could say to Real Madrid, look, Pogba's coming to you in the summer. We'll sort out the fee, but effectively, if you give us Jovic till the summer, then we'll give you Pogba for a little bit cheaper. You could even start doing the negotiations now. That's never going to happen. It's too logical, right? But for everybody who thinks we're going to do significant business in the summer, I warn you now. Whether Pochettino's in charge, or Ollie's in charge, or any other manager is in charge, do not expect in the summer, 1, big spending, and 2, lots of signings. I guarantee whatever we get for Pogba, whether it's 120 million, 150 million, we will only spend about 180. We will spend net about 50, something like that. That's what we do every summer. Also, that Paul Pogba deal is going to take United most of the summer. So they're going to be working on that deal and signing other players as well. That's not how we work. So that Pogba deal will bring a lot of money into the club, which the Glazers will be ching-chinging about, but we won't be getting time to do the other business. And I can see that coming as obvious as, turkey on your plate at Christmas. You can really see that. Pogba to Real Madrid, we're going to become Sporting Lisbon. We're going to become the resentful club that doesn't really want to sell their player, but if they're going to sell it, they want a decent price for it. And Real Madrid are going to be like us, getting Bruno Fernandes. So that's that negotiation, which benefits, I am no interest in the Paul Pogba to Real Madrid deal. All I want to do is see him go, £150 million in the bank straight away, let's get on with our business. It dragging out for 2 months is no benefit to us because we won't be doing anything else. On top of that, you've got the Euros. On top of that, you've got a tour. I don't think the summer's going to be the summer anyone thinks it's going to be for many different reasons. Chloe Jenkins says they better hurry up with Bruno. Sky is reporting Eriksen deal is nearly complete. I'm not worried about Spurs, and this could turn into a very famous last line, but I'm not worried about Spurs signing Bruno Fernandes because if they were going to sign Bruno Fernandes, they would have done it by now because Spurs, Chelsea, basically any other club are far more efficient at transfers than us. And if they were in for him, Jose Mourinho's agent is George Mendes. He's involved in this deal. They would just get it done like that. I think Spurs would like him, but as I said, I don't think they can do it. I suspect it's because of the financial fair play year. It resets on June the 30th, and I think that the year that Spurs have had, because they spent money in the summer, and I can't remember the dates they did it, but I bet a lot of those deals didn't go in until June the 1st. So I think Spurs cannot sign Bruno Fernandes because they can't do it within the financial fair play, or maybe they haven't got the money yet. I don't know, but I think Spurs would like to do it, but they can't do it. So if United want Bruno Fernandes, I think we've got a clear run at him in January. Summer will be the same depressing window, says Kevin Murphy. And, well, I said that before, didn't I? I mean, what's your perception of the January transfer window? But also, what's your perception coming out of it? Because I touched on this last night. I think it's a very interesting thing to say deep into a United Stand video, because I think we're in the hardcore time now. I think you get those people who just watch it for the first 5 minutes and go, I'm going to go and watch EastEnders. And then you've got you people who will watch the whole lot because you love the community. And I've got to be honest, I get a lot of this criticism. You get people saying, well, you do a video on everything. But I don't think people understand like the call-in concept, the fan channels, the fan cams. We're fans. I've not got a journalist background. I didn't go to bloody journalism school to get a blue tick on Twitter. I'm just a fan. I'm just a football fan, and my opinion's as good as yours. You know, it's not better. It's a fan, and that's a fan channel. And what we do on this channel is, if there's a story that United are going to sign Cavani, well, we do a video about it, mainly to give fan opinion on it. We're not. Now, every now and again we do get information and we feed it in. And sometimes it's accurate and sometimes it's not. That's fine. You've got to live and die by that. But the reality is, when we're talking about transfers, 90% of it is talking about stuff that's in the media. And that's why you've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because over time you come to appreciate that one journalist or outlet is better than another one. One is just constantly regurgitating crap. One doesn't talk much, but then when they do talk, you take notice. And I think coming into January, those lines have been blurred. You know, some of these tier 1 journalists, you're like, I don't believe you anymore. Some of them, I don't respect you anymore. You know, some of them are clearly getting information from the club and trying to spin these positives now. Oh, Woodward's not at fault. I mean, you've just lost a load of respectability there. Because you're the same people who've been, over the last 3 years, saying he's useless. And I think journalism, in many ways, is dying. And I think the football world is changing. And we spoke about those comments that Phil Neville made. Respect is being lost because fans are thinking for themselves. And fans are seeing through the bullshit. And I think that it's gone on for too long. And I think the mainstream media needs to have a hard look at itself. And I would implore the mainstream media to go back to doing what people respected you for. Stop putting your opinions or your maybes or question marks and putting it out as a fact. And actually just go back to reporting the news in a very transparent way, allowing the consumer to make their mind up. We don't want to be told that Ed Woodward's not at fault because we already know that he is. We don't want to be told that a deal's going to happen in 2 weeks and then the player comes out and says, I'm not moving anywhere. You know, I think it's been a really bad transfer window for the mainstream media. And people can say what they like about fan channels, but as I say, fan channels, as you are part of, are there to have an opinion on things. It's not meant to be in concrete. It's spongy. It moves. That's what fan opinion is. We were all singing Ollie's at the wheel. We've all got to own that a year ago. We're not the owners of Manchester United. We're not party to all the information that they had. A better business decision would have been to wait till the summer. But we were all singing Ollie's at the wheel. He's got to have the job. Runners of the football club, they should be more business minded. So, you know, we don't always get it right as fans. But I think it's been a terrible month for the mainstream media. And to see so many of them now quite obviously being spoon-fed PR from the club to try and make Woodward look good, that ain't going to work, Ed. The only way you're going to look good is to go back to the things that you were being praised for 2-3 years ago. You know, walking in like a boss gifts because you were doing the things that the club needs to do. Basically, it's very easy with Manchester United. We need to spend a shitload of money and we need to ship out a bit of deadwood. There's no prospect of this money being spent and we're still retaining the deadwood. Big changes need to happen. That's how you spin a PR situation. You don't get people to like you by paying somebody to make them like you. That's like, there's that The Office on the Road, the film, David Brent, where he pays everyone to go for a drink with him afterwards because no one wants to. If you want people to go for a drink with you, start doing things that people like. You know, that would be my message. Does it matter who the manager is with the Glazers and Woodward still there? Says Red Devils 39. What are the odds the club actually sells to new people, Mark? I think it's very low odds that we'll sign to anybody, to be honest. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. I think I feel bad because I said before Christmas that because we often discuss how long it's going to take for Manchester United to get back, and I said before Christmas I actually think things are going to get worse before they get better. Which is a hard thing to say when it's already bad. But even today, even now, having lost to Burnley and Leicester, with fans singing what they're singing, and where we are, I still think, as of today, on January 24th, we've not hit the bottom of the barrel yet. I still think we're going to sink further down the sides of that barrel, and we've not hit the bottom yet. And that's very sad. I think there's worse times to come. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. You know, I still hope if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to stay in the job, he's a success. Because as I said, fan opinions, my opinions aren't in concrete. You know, I don't wish or want United to fail. It's just a pragmatic opinion that I don't think Ole's good enough, and I don't think we've hit the bottom of the barrel yet. But I think that I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love us to bring Bruno Fernandes in. I'd love everything to start clicking. I'd love us to get to the Europa League final and win it, get in the Champions League, spend a load of money in the summer, next season, you know, comfortably be top four and improve. I'd love to see that happen. I think that's what everybody wants. But realistically, I think there's just too much wrong in too many areas. Henderson says he won't sign for United if De Gea stays. He wants to be number one. I like him. He has established himself well at Sheffield. What do you say? He's consistent, says Anu Palyapan. I'll tell you what, I was going to end the video there, but I will talk about De Gea very quickly, and I'm very grateful for that comment. De Gea is a really interesting one. I'm a massive fan of De Gea. I think since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, he's the only positive. He's been amazing for us. He's not old. He's still a very world-class goalkeeper. Unfortunately, for the last year, he's not been that. His ball distribution has never been great. His saving ability is world-class. De Gea is a problem because we've just given him a big contract. I love David De Gea. I don't like the disrespect. The guy deserves respect. Not many people at Manchester United in a playing staff deserve respect. They don't. Like, you know, there's a lot of players who deserve the criticism they get. They pull on that shirt. They are entertainers to the fans, and ultimately, it's not personal. You deserve the criticism if you don't do well. People like Jesse Lingard, it's not personal. You're just not good enough for the shirt, and you've not shown anywhere near enough. De Gea over the last year, you could say that, but when you look at what he's done for us, he made us relevant in some of them Van Gaal and Moyes seasons. You know, we could have been a lot lower in the league. He was superb. He was winning. He won Player of the Year for how many years? Was it like 4 out of 5, something like that? He's a fantastic player. He deserves our respect. I don't want to see fans going in on De Gea, is what I'm trying to say. He deserves better than that. I think it's a grown-up conversation with De Gea. Maybe he is coming towards the end of the road at Manchester United. Maybe he does need to move on. Maybe it's like that. Sometimes you just need to move on. And maybe it is that. I don't know. I'm really hoping we get the great De Gea back. But I don't like it. I don't like it. And, you know, it might sound a bit hypocritical because I'm not, you know, I'll be very blunt about players that don't do well at United. But we're dealing with somebody here who is, without shadow of a doubt, deserves our respect and has been a great servant to the club. So I don't want to see booing of De Gea. I don't want to see hate on De Gea. I think we've got to be very respectful with this. I'm not disagreeing that Henderson should come in and De Gea should go. I'm not saying that. I just think De Gea deserves our respect because he clearly is a nice guy and he clearly has been a fantastic servant for the club. And he's not old enough that he's finished. I hope he can get back to being that player he was. If he doesn't, there's a discussion to be had. But I think we need to be mature about it and respectful for it because we're better than that. There's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of toxicity around Manchester United at the moment, and that is totally valid around certain players, around the manager, around the board, and that's totally right. But I think with De Gea, we just need to show a little bit of class because he has been absolutely fine. It's great to see the little De Gea emoji. Thanks, Habib. It is. He does deserve our respect. I agree. He's not had a good season. You think some of the mistakes against Watford, and you know he's not had a very good season, and he didn't have a very good season last year. But let's be mature about it. If it's the end of the road, it's the end of the road. I hope it's not. Much respect to De Gea, but if we're going to play out from the back, I think a keeper with better distribution would be good, says Michael Mayerstar. And I think that's very good. His distribution from the back is clumsy. And if we want to do that, that's a tactical decision, and that makes sense if we can get money for De Gea, which we can, to just make a change. That's something for the summer. But again, you know what? We've got to be very careful with that because it's a luxury. Maybe we need to keep De Gea because replacing our goalkeeper, again, if you're going to sell De Gea, that's another bloody month for De Gea for Woodward to mess about selling him, isn't it? And we're already going to be doing that with Pogba. So If we need players in, I think. And De Gea, there's a lot more players that need to go out of the club before him. Mark, look into the situation with De Gea's coach. Ollie fired his favourite personal coach. I believe recently there was another change in the goalkeeping coach. Third goalkeeping coach this season. There's more to the story, says for ace. And you're absolutely spot on. And I wish we'd picked up on that a little bit sooner. De Gea's goalkeeping coach has been changed loads of times, which is not good for a goalkeeper, is it? So if De Gea stays and Henderson goes, it is good, says Anna Palyapan. No, that's not what I said. It's not. In an ideal world, we get the world-class David De Gea back, and then Henderson can do what he likes. If De Gea doesn't improve, there's definitely a discussion that needs to be had there, because Henderson looks like a good goalkeeper. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We could talk all night, and we're not going to. We've all got things to do. Hot bath for me. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. And obviously we've got the watch along on Sunday afternoon for Tranmere. Fantastic show. Thanks for the callers. Please do smash a like. Thanks for everyone getting involved in the live comments. So much to be talking about at the moment. A big week ahead for Manchester United as well. This time next week, transfer deadline day. It will just about to be closed. What's going to happen in the next 7 days? We've also got Tranmere. We've got Man City. And then we've got that Wolves game now. Will there be a walkout? I'm not so sure. Speak to you soon. Subscribe if you're new. Smash a like. And I'll see you soon.